Well, good evening, Next Level students. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us on this kind of not lovely Monday evening. The weather's a little weird outside tonight, suddenly cool, kind of crazy, but thanks for coming and hanging out with us. Anyway, couple announcements for you right off the top. Here we go. Number one, as we told you last week, we'll give you another opportunity to get yourself one of these lovely Next Level students Salt of the Earth t-shirts. Hey, look, live direction from producer Mike Parker in the back. One of these lovely Next Level Salt of the Earth t-shirts. Here's how you can do it this week. This week, it's going to take more than your size and name in the comments box. This time, you got to message the Instagram, okay? So you have to send a direct message to the Instagram. And not just any direct message, but I have some trivia for you. Posted a little earlier on the Instagram, you may have saw a picture of Arabica coffee beans. You might not even know what Arabica is. Well, you're going to learn tonight because I love coffee and I love useless knowledge, so here we go. Coffee beans come in 4 types. Arabica is the one primarily used in making coffee for coffees all around the world. So the vast majority of the coffee consumed on the planet is Arabica coffee beans, but there are actually 3 other types of coffee beans. So here's what you got to do to get a t-shirt. You need to send a message to the student Instagram with your name and size, because those things are important, and the other 3 types of coffee bean produced in the world. You get those, we'll get you a free t-shirt. Is that easy enough? That should be easy enough. Google will help you out, okay? So that's what's up with the t-shirts. Do that, get yourself a shirt. Second thing, we've been teasing kind of a big announcement. I think it's a big announcement. I'm excited to let you know that even though we don't get to go to Crossroads this year, we are going to do the best thing that we can do instead, which is to bring Crossroads here to our church right here, Next Level, in person, in Matthews for you guys. And so what we're going to do is instead of going to camp July 6th to 10th, since we couldn't do that, we are going to have camp here. It's going to happen July 6th through the 9th. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. all 4 of those days. And so what Crossroads has been kind enough to do is to actually go ahead and record a lot of the stuff that was going to happen this summer anyway. So things like the morning show. So we'll have that, the morning Devo. We'll have evening worship, their worship band recording worship sets and messages from the same teachers. You'll get to hear from Clayton. You'll get to hear from Shari. You'll get to hear from a lot of those people that you would have gotten to hear from had we been able to go. But it'll happen in this room. Yeah, in this room, like in person, able to see people live face to face. We will do our best to keep things socially distanced, but we're going to be here. And I'm so excited for this to be the first thing that we actually get to do back in person. So here's what you need to do. As of 7 o'clock when this video rolled, registration is live. Now, you might not be able to find it so quickly and easily right now because it can be a little bit buried. But as soon as this stream is over, I'm going to get a link out there for you. Get that posted. I'll change the link in the Instagram profile over to that registration page. And so tonight, you will be able to register for that camp. Cool thing about it is, whereas camp was like $300 or $250 or whatever it was, this it's going to cost you $25. The only reason we're charging you that is so we can buy some cool stuff to have some fun activities so that you'll have lots of fun during those 4 days. So you register, it's $25. A couple of things that you'll notice about it. There are add-ons available to you that are completely optional, but I want you to know about them. When you register, you can choose a t-shirt. It's a Crossroads Hometowns t-shirt. It's $10. You can add that on and choose your size. There is this thing they call a buff. I don't even understand that, but it's there. You can wrap it around your head. I think girls can do something with their hair with it. You can also make it like a mask. I don't know, but they're like $6 or whatever. You can get one of those if you want. And there's a bandana that has the Crossroads Missions logo and stuff on it. I think that's $4 or $5, something like that. It's all cheap. You can get that stuff if you want it. You don't have to get it. So you can pay $25 or you can buy all the merch and still be less than $50. Here's what I will say about the merch though. It is in limited quantity. So if you register by Thursday night, I'm going to submit an order for merch on Friday, okay? There's no guarantee that if you ask for merch that you'll get it because they could run out, but I'm going to basically order each week with whatever orders come in and do my best to get a hold of that stuff for you guys if you would like it. I think that's basically it as far as summer camp. If you've got questions, hit me up. shoot a DM to the Instagram, shoot me an email. There'll be more of this stuff coming out on social media and things. Now that we've announced it, you'll hear more about it soon. But wanted to go ahead and let you guys know tonight that summer camp in its new and definitely a different variation is going to happen July 6th to 9th. So make sure you got that on your calendars. I can't wait to be together again. I can't wait to hang out with you guys and be back in person together again. Awesome. That's all I got for announcements. So I'm gonna walk that way now, and we'll have some worship.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Are we rolling?
There we are.
There we are.
There we are.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Welcome, Next Level students.
Welcome, Next Level students.
Are you just gonna?
Are you just gonna? Guys,
copy
we may
me?
be on camera, but that's not gonna change our behavior from real life.
That's true. We're gonna be just as delinquent as we usually are.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How about we just jump right into it here?
Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Okay, we did this song last week, but I really liked it, so we're gonna do it again. This song is called Echo. Turn my guitar on.
When night has fallen, when fear is coming, still you're calling me. When faith is lost and my hope exhausted, you will be my strength. When my mind says I'm not good enough, God, you're enough for me. Yeah, I've decided I'm not giving up. You won't give up on me. You won't give up on me. Your love is holding on and it won't let go. I feel it breaking out like an echo.
Nice. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
It was fun. Yeah, Brad's clapping. You probably can't hear, but he's
Definitely
clapping.
can't hear it. He's back there, though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brad.
We're not making this up. We wouldn't lie to you. He said you're welcome.
I would lie to them.
This is a church establishment.
Okay, this is a new song that we haven't done in our ministry, but I'm hoping that this is one that we'll be able to do when we're able to meet again in person, because I think it's a really powerful song, and the sentiment behind it is really powerful. And I'm really excited to do it here, and I can't wait to see you guys in person. I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days held within your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and darkest night. You're close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. I have lived in the goodness of God. Yes, I have. And all my life you have been faithful. In all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, you're running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am made, I will sing of the goodness of God. Sing that again. With all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am made, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Dear God, thank you for lowering yourself to us and being in this room tonight. It's an honor to have you here. And God, it doesn't take much. It just takes two people in a room worshiping. And God, please let us remind us of that tonight, that with all the bad that's in the world, that doesn't even need to be said. Everybody knows that, God, it doesn't take much to bring you into our space, God, and that you can make all bad things beautiful through you. please open our hearts this evening for Brad's message. In your son Jesus' name we pray, amen.
So, when you don't know how to do something, how to fix something, or how something works, what do? Ask a teacher? Ask your parents? Ask your friends? Ask someone you really know and trust? No! You go to the internet and ask some randos. But I'm not talking about creeps here, I hope. No, I mean the people of the internet! You know, those people who make how-to videos. Because chances are, if you're trying to figure out something, someone on the internet has already figured it out for you. Things like, how do I unsend a text? No. How do I do a winged eyeliner? How do I get rid of the zit by Friday night? How do I get out of gym class? How do I screen cap Snapchat without getting caught? They'll never know. But then there are things in life that don't have an easy fix, that don't have a simple solution, that don't have a how-to video. Things like what to do when you have problems with family, or when it seems like you have no control in your life, or what to do when someone has done something to you. I mean, clearly, they gotta go. The truth is, there's a lot of life that doesn't have a solution you can just find online. So how do you know what to do when you don't know what to do?
What's up? Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Grace, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good.
You pretty good?
Yeah.
That's good. I got a question for you, Grace.
All right.
You ready?
No.
Okay, good. Pose a scenario for you.
Okay.
Let's say you're walking out of the grocery store, just picked up a couple of things, you got a couple bags, and as you're walking to your car, because, you're all like grown up and can drive now, and you could do this, and you see a $20 bill on the ground in the parking lot of the grocery store. What do you do?
I mean, as long as nobody's like standing near it, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I'm gonna pick it up. Like.
And what? Pick it up and what?
Probably keep it. I mean, as long as nobody's near it and it doesn't appear to have an owner. I mean, obviously, if someone's by it or if I saw someone drop it, I'm gonna obviously give it to them. But I mean, it was left there. It needs a home.
I will adopt Andrew Jackson in a heartbeat. Okay, yeah. So I don't think you're necessarily alone in that. But I mean, if we think about this, any of us in that situation, there's lots of things that probably run through your head. Like maybe I just ignore it and leave it. Like whoever dropped it will probably be back. Or no. Maybe I just ignore thought number one and just take it. Nobody will notice. God has gifted me with a special $20 bill from heaven, and then you may be like, oh no, I need to take it inside. I got to give it to a manager. Surely somebody will come back. And then you're like, well, but better me than somebody else. They're not even going to spend it well. So you're like, well, whatever you are thinking in that situation, it's one of those kind of weird situations. This is a small scale one where you're like, oh God, what do I do? You can have a lot of thoughts run through your head. And the reality of that situation and many that are more complicated is simply this: knowing what to do isn't simple in the moment. And that's a lot of what we're talking about in this series. We've been in this series, this is week 3, of what to do when you don't know what to do. And in that situation, that's one of those things where in the moment, it's hard to figure out. And I think we would both agree that it'd be really nice if doing the right thing was always clear and obvious.
Oh yeah.
If it was just like, laid out like, oh, duh, this is clearly the right thing, but sometimes the right thing isn't obvious. Let me give you some examples. If you're dating somebody, but you're texting someone else like a lot, and you're like, well, I'm not cheating on anyone, we're just texting at 2 a.m. That's not wrong, right? Or is it? Grace is like, yes. Or if your teammate is going on about how the coach is a jerk and benched them for no reason, but you know exactly why they got benched. It's because they actually really need to work on their passing game. So, do you tell them because you know it would hurt their feelings? Is it wrong to not tell them how to, fix their game or whatever when you know that it would help them? What do you do? What's right there? Or maybe you got a friend that's doing something that, really, really bothers you. And you know you should talk to them about it, but you're like, if I confront them, am I just going to look like a jerk? Is this my issue, or is it their issue? Should I just get over it? these are some tough situations that come up where we've got to figure out what to do. The reality in this situation and many others is that sometimes the right thing costs us something. In this situation with the $20 bill, returning it, taking it into the manager, I mean, that costs us a literal $20. That could have been in my pocket. But sometimes it can cost some other things. Grace, what do you think are some things that keep us from doing the right thing?
I think a big one is, how do I want to word this? Like fear of like losing popularity or something like that. I think that's a big one for a lot of people in a lot of situations and scenarios, or fear of getting in trouble, something like that.
Yeah, the fear of getting in trouble, man. I got a 6-year-old and 11-year-old, and I swear this is like everyday life for me, is helping them to go, okay, you need to do the right thing. You need to tell me the truth, even though you're afraid of what's going to happen when you tell me the truth. Yeah. Oh, it's hard. Like sometimes, just a few more examples, sometimes you might feel like it's right to be honest with your parents, like what I was just talking about. But that if you're honest, you might like lose your phone or something like that, maybe for the rest of your life. Maybe the right thing is to not be in a relationship anymore. But if you break up, you'll be single and alone. And so that doesn't feel so good. Maybe the right thing is not to let somebody cheat off your test. But if you say no, then somehow you'll end up looking like a loser. And it will cost you socially. These are different situations that we can encounter in life that just make doing the right thing complicated, that make it unclear, that make it hard to do, that make it hard to walk through. And so what I want to look at tonight is another example from the story of Joseph. And if you guys have thought that the previous weeks were crazy, man, just wait. In week 1, we talked about how Joseph is this guy with this crazy family tree. There's a dad, 4 moms, and 12 siblings. It's nuts. And Joseph is the beloved baby child, but he's braggadocious. He's not humble. He's got these dreams of his siblings and his parents bowing down to him. And so it's just a complicated situation. And then week 2, we looked at the fact that his brothers, well, they wanted to kill him. It started at let's kill him. And then they backed off to let's throw him in a pit and then sell him into slavery. So good thing they backed off. We finished last week with Joseph literally being sold by his brothers into slavery. Now, when we pick it up this week, Joseph has landed in the household of a guy by the name of Potiphar. Now, what you need to know is that Potiphar is an officer for Pharaoh. So Joseph gets sold into slavery into Egypt. And what ends up happening is he ends up a slave in the household of Potiphar who works for Pharaoh. Pharaoh is like king, president, dictator, all of that like rolled into one. Like his word goes. There is ain't no Congress, ain't no voting. It's like Pharaoh rules. So that can be really good for you and that can be really bad for you. But whatever the case, Joseph ends up in the household of Potiphar. And things actually begin to go pretty well for Joseph because, if you remember the scripture last week, it said that, hey, God was with Joseph. And so things start going well for him. He develops a reputation to the point that Potiphar actually puts him in charge of his household. And so we'll read a little bit of this in Genesis 39, starting in verse 2. It says this: the Lord was with Joseph. There's that phrase again. So that he prospered, and he lived in the house of his Egyptian master. When his master saw that the Lord was with him and that the Lord gave him success in everything he did, Joseph found favor in his eyes and became his attendant. Potiphar put him in charge of his household, and he entrusted to his care everything he owned. From the time he put him in charge of his household and of all that he owned, the Lord blessed the household of the Egyptian because of Joseph. The blessing of the Lord was on everything Potiphar had, both in the house and in the field. So Potiphar left everything he had in Joseph's care. With Joseph in charge, he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. So this turns into a pretty cool situation, all things considered. I mean, if you're going to be a slave, this is not bad. So Joseph's basically running the household. Potiphar's chilling. He's happy. Everything's going well. It looks like things are turning Joseph's way a little bit.
Yeah.
But then there's a twist. There's always a twist.
There's always a twist. Let's be real.
It says in the next verse, now Joseph was well built and handsome. Yeah, it actually says that. I didn't make that up. And after a while, his master's wife took notice of Joseph and said, come to bed with me. Genesis 39, 6 through 7. I don't think she was talking about sleeping either, y'all. The Bible is legit. Y'all should read it. This tells us two things. One, apparently Joseph wasn't a bad-looking guy.
Apparently not.
Two, the boss's wife noticed. And so here's where things get complicated, right? Joseph is in a bad spot. Okay, Joseph was a servant. He's required to obey Potiphar, but because he's required to obey Potiphar, this is Potiphar's wife. He's supposed to obey her as well. And if he refuses her, there's no reason that she can't punish him. He could be kicked out of the household. All sorts of bad things could happen. But she's married to his boss, so both options come with problems. It was not easy or clear. This is an example of a situation where doing the right thing can cost us. Can you think of any other situations where doing the next right thing can cost us something?
There's so many to choose from, I feel like. I mean, it's almost endless. I mean, like doing the right thing, I guess in just a situation like at a job or something could literally cost you your job. Or
Yeah.
something worse cost you reputation.
Right.
Reputation. I can't talk tonight. And
That's okay. It's not live. We'll edit it out. Oh, wait.
it's not live. But yeah, like situations like that, there's always a cost, I feel, or almost always a cost in situations that like this. I cannot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we all encounter these places where it's like, am I going to do the right thing? And we know that there's a cost really kind of on both sides. That if I do the right thing, it could cost me something. If I don't do the right thing, it's going to cost me something. Which direction am I going to go? So often, I think in high school and in middle school, a lot of times the cost can be socially. It can be, if I do this right thing, it's going to cost me with this group of people, but maybe it's going to get me in with this group of people. And the opposite is true. And so often there are things that we have to consider. So the question is, what did Joseph do in that situation? He's in one of those situations where either way doesn't really look really good. So what did Joseph do when he didn't know what to do? Listen to what the next part of the story says. He says, but he refused. With me in charge, he told her, my master does not concern himself with anything in the house. Everything he owns, he has entrusted to my care. No one is greater in this house than I am. My master has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. How then could I do such a wicked thing and sin against God? And although she spoke to Joseph day after day, he refused to go to bed with her or even be with her. So basically, out of respect for Potiphar, his boss, and out of an even bigger respect for God, Joseph simply did the next right thing. And that's a phrase I want us to really kind of grab onto tonight, that in these situations where we don't know what to do, the best thing for us to do is simply do the next right thing. You see, Joseph didn't base his decision on how things might turn out for him. Because the reality is things could have gone really bad, and we're going to see they kind of go pretty bad. He didn't think about, well, maybe I might lose my job, or even maybe I might lose my life. He thought about what was right, and in doing so, trusted God with whatever was coming next. The reality is it was complicated, it was challenging to do what he did, but it was the right thing to do. Now, here's a fun question.
Right.
And I love asking teenagers this sort of question. And so if you're listening, think about it. This is a great question to consider in your life. Why should we care about doing the right thing?
That is a fun question. I think, there's obviously sometimes there's moral standards to be held up to and stuff like that. But I think, God doesn't call us to be like everyone else. He calls us to be like him. And if that means doing the next right thing, we should always be concerned and strive towards doing the next best thing, whatever that may be, and no matter the cost.
So, I think what I heard in there was the mention of God. It's because God inspires us to do these things, and it's because it's what He's called us to do. But what I want to say to you is maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you hear that and you're like, yeah, God, cool, whatever. I think it's a question that we all need to answer. Hey, why am I trying to do the right thing? Is it because of this relationship with God that I have and what He's done for me and the great things He's done in my life? Or am I doing the right thing just to because I think it'll go better for me in the end? Like, it's a great question to ask. I think Joseph did it because of the relationship he had with God. And here's the deal. It didn't lead to a perfect result for him. In fact, things actually got worse. If you keep reading, what we find is that Potiphar's wife ultimately falsely accused Joseph of rape. When she couldn't get what she wanted, she falsely accused him. And Potiphar, like probably any husband would, believed his wife. And so Joseph got thrown into prison. So here is this guy who's already had things going negatively for him for a while. He's sold into slavery. He kind of makes the best of that situation, and then yet again, things go poorly. But here's what we need to see. He did what was right. He did what was right with God, and he trusted God with the outcome. And so that though the outcome in this situation wasn't great, there's still more to the story, and we'll get there in the weeks to come. But here's what I want to challenge you with. I want to give you a word that maybe you've heard tossed around before, but I think this is a word that means a lot to me and a lot for what I'm striving for in my life, and it's this word, integrity. When it comes to this idea of doing what's right, of choosing the right thing, of doing the next right thing, integrity is where this really plays out. Here's how I want us to define integrity. It means being the kind of person who does what's right, regardless of the outcome and regardless of who is around. So often, I think, for many of us, the decisions we make are largely based on who's watching. They're largely based on the situation they're in. Real integrity means I'm going to do the right thing regardless of who's in the room, regardless of if I'm alone or if I'm in a crowd. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to be the kind of person that does that, because the truth is that sometimes doing the right thing will get you applause. People will see it. Maybe it goes viral. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't even get noticed, and nobody knows. Sometimes it costs you something, as we talked about earlier, and sometimes it doesn't cost you anything. Sometimes it will make you look good, and sometimes it will make you look stupid. These things can happen, but integrity, being a person of integrity, means doing it anyway, doing the right thing, regardless of those things. So here's a question, thinking about the crowd in some ways. How does choosing to do the right thing affect the people around us?
I think, it affects people in a couple different ways. Obviously, it can affect people negatively. People could get angry at you for making a decision that was the best decision in that moment. Or, people could actually have a newfound respect for you. They're going to want to be in your circle more. And, let's be honest, if the people who, you made a good decision, but then the people around you were negatively affected by that because it was the decision that was the next best thing, probably don't want to be associated with those kind of people. Let's just be real.
I would tend to agree. I'm trying to think of the verse in Proverbs that says, a companion of the wise becomes wise, but a companion of fools suffers harm.
Absolutely.
So you need to look around. Who are the people you're hanging out with? If you like, my friends are fools, like, harm is coming. So yeah, I would totally agree. Often, it's a good test, honestly, for the people that we're surrounding ourselves with, is do the right thing in a situation and see how they react. Does their respect grow for you, or do they cringe? Like, that's a pretty good indicator if these are the kinds of people that you want to be hanging out with. Last question for you, Grace, and then we'll wrap this thing up. By doing the right thing, Joseph proved himself to be a person with integrity. What does it look like to be a person with integrity in high school or middle school?
Let's see. That could mean, like, if somebody, I guess, for example, obviously you guys aren't meeting in an actual school building right now, but if someone were to have the answers to an upcoming test, integrity would be to not use those answers, to actually, put in the hard work and study properly for that quiz, or, when everybody else is talking or bullying someone, you either you stand up for that person. You don't match your actions to people surrounding you. You do better, and
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about.
That's one of those examples of integrity. Sometimes it means going against the grain. It means standing out from the crowd. It means going against the popular thing in that moment. I think that's great. So chances are, I hope this is true, that you'll never find yourself in the kind of situation that Joseph was, but we will find ourselves inevitably, you've probably already found yourselves in many situations where you have to decide what you're going to do without really knowing how it's going to play out, without being able to see the end, without being able to see the results or the outcome. But when we make our decisions with integrity based on what's right, we are living lives that we can be proud of. Living with integrity is a great way to end up with less regret. Nobody likes regret. Nobody likes looking back on something and going, man, I wish I had done things differently. When we live with integrity, we can avoid that. So let me give you just a couple of tips, a couple of things that you can do as you think about this week. Think of a situation where you know the right thing, but are afraid to do it. And as you think about that situation, begin to ask yourself these questions. What is it that you are afraid of? And if fear wasn't a factor, what would you do? The second thing is this: determine what kind of person you want to be. And I'm not talking about 5 years from now. I'm not talking about way down the road. I'm like, what's the kind of person that you want to be today? What's the kind of person that you want to be this week? And so what do you need to do to set yourself up to be that kind of person? You know, I would encourage you to be somebody who respects themselves, who can be proud of their decisions, not because they're easy, but because they're right. And so if that's something that you actually want to do, if that's something that you want to see happen in your life, here's just a couple of things that you can do immediately. Number one is simply this: tell somebody the next right thing that you're going to do. There is incredible power when we say out loud to other people in our lives, hey, this is the step I'm going to take. Here's the decision that I've made, and this is what I need to do to follow through on it. And then secondly, invite them to pray for you and ask you if you did it. Building this sort of accountability into our lives when we need to do hard things, when we need to make hard decisions, helps us actually follow through on the things that we want to do anyway, and helps us become the people that we really want to become. Know the right thing, and then do that next right thing. Lastly, before I pray, simply say this: this is why community matters. And again, we've talked about how, small groups are obviously not meeting so much in person right now. We're not meeting in person as a ministry right now, but we are at summer camp. Woohoo! If you missed the earlier part of the stream, go back and rewatch it. Summer camp. That community that we can build there, having friends who are there for you, who are pushing you in the right direction, this is why it's so important. Because they help us be people of integrity. When we have close relationships with people, they're the people that can actually come alongside us and say, hey, I see here where your actions aren't lining up with who you say you want to be. And we can actually hear people that are close to us. They've got permission to say those sorts of things. So again, I would just always encourage you, lean into those relationships you have from your small groups. Stay in touch with your small group leader. Be in touch with people who will push you in the right direction. It's so good for us. Grace, any parting words?
No.
No. Cool. On that inspiring no, I'm going to pray. Father, thank you so much, Lord, just for the opportunity to get together, for those of us who are here in person to get together, and also just to be able to communicate with folks online. God, thank you. That you give us the tools that we need, and you give us the spirit and the power and the ability to be people of integrity, to be people who do the right thing even when it's hard, who do the right thing even when we don't know how it's going to go, when we don't know what the cost is. When we do know what the cost is, God, you give us all that we need to be able to push forward, to move forward, and do the right things. God, help us to do that this week. God, I pray you would encourage us, inspire us to be people of integrity. Lord, we love you. It's in your name we pray. Amen. All right, stay tuned. We're going to switch things up. Megan and Mikey are coming, and we'll hang out, answer some questions, do a little chit-chatting in just a moment. Hey, there we go.
There
Hey.
we go.
Hello.
Hey, we played that because guess what? We're friends.
You think that? Just kidding. Just kidding.
You know, leave it to you, Megan. I thought you might deliver if I just tossed that softball your direction and
Yeah.
you're just ready, standing
Sure
there
you did.
Don't
to
worry,
knock
we're
it
all
straight out the
great
park.
friends.
Hey, Kay Pern.
Hey, Kay Pern.
She
Who is
said,
that?
"Hey."
I don't know. Okay.
Let's see, Peachy Waffle up there.
That's
I s-
Mikey.
That's who?
That's Mikey.
That's
Actually, it
Mikey.
was Megan who put that message, but it
Oh,
was,
geez.
Hey,
Okay,
Grace.
look, all the people in the room have said hi to us in the stream. This is
Grace
great.
said hi. Hi, Grace.
Hey, Mike Parker and Grace McLean, any questions for our panel today? Uh-oh.
It's really funny that the only people saying hey was the people that are here and Mikey's
And
mom.
Kay.
Mike, that's not a question. Mike said sup. That doesn't.
It-
No.
Put a question mark.
That's
No,
true,
it's an
actually.
abbreviation for supper. Would you like to sup with me?
We
See,
already had
there we
supper.
go.
And it was
oh.
pigs in a blanket.
I did too. Would you like a review of my dinner?
Yeah.
Is this a good spot for that?
What do you
Okay,
have?
I'm not going to name the restaurant because I don't want to. Hold on. This is when you're old, you have to like announce that you're using a hip term. So I don't want to throw shade at the restaurant. See, that makes it better, right? It makes it better when you emphasize it and call attention to
I
it.
don't
right?
want to throw shade, but
Anyway, I stopped and got some food at a place that was labeled in the style of soul food. Okay, I like some soul food, because I'm from here. I'm from the South. I like me some soul food. So I had there was some barbecue ribs. There was some smothered chicken. I didn't even know what smothered chicken was before today.
what was it
But it
smothered
sounded
in?
good. Brown gravy. Sounded good, but admittedly, the chicken was kind of dry. The ribs were a little tough. Had some mac and cheese and collard greens and yams and cornbread with it, and it was all just kind of meh.
I don't really
know?
like gravy.
So, Mikey,
Yes, Brad.
how are you tonight?
Good, and I really like gravy.
I don't know. Oh, whoa, that is not my good side. Hold on. I don't think I have a good side, but whatever. Like, that's the gravy side. You can tell when I turn my back. Oh, anyway, no gravy at all, says Grace McLean. That's sad. No gravy at all, Megan?
I don't like gravy.
Clear gravy.
Here's another restaurant
Maybe that's
review, and
see-through?
because I really like it, I will name it if I remember the place. Hold on. I think it's Biscuit Head. My wife could tell me. This place in Asheville, I had a gravy flight. So you could get biscuits and gravy, and you could get 3 different kinds of gravy to go on your biscuits. And I did that. It was amazing. Okay, this is going downhill quickly. I'm gonna need you guys to kick in some actual content,
I
okay?
don't. What are you just talking
I
about
like
dinner?
jelly on my biscuits. Gravy's disgusting.
Okay, I have a theory about biscuits.
A theory about
Not
biscuits.
not gravy biscuits. I think
Mikey's
that,
biscuit theory,
I
ladies
think
and gentlemen.
that
He's questioning his theory already.
okay,
He's
so there's
rewriting
two,
it as he
there's
goes.
2 common jellies, right? So there's grape jelly and there's strawberry jelly.
Bro, you need to expand your jelly horizons.
No,
if
because
you
I'm
think
right.
there's 2,
Because I'm right. Those
Oh
are the
my
2 most
goodness.
Those are the
common
two, like,
jellies.
The
Ugh.
common jellies. But other jellies are good. But those are like the most known ones.
Yeah.
y'all don't even know. Y'all don't
grape
even
the
know.
sucks.
common ones. Anyway, Brad, so I have a theory that grape is like peanut butter and jelly, like strictly for that, and then strawberry is specifically for biscuits. That's what I think.
Your theory is lacking. At my house, we have a jam guy.
Like you call him over, and he like gives
Like,
you
no, we
jam?
don't call him over, but we have a jam guy.
Some jams.
So, like, we have a guy. He's at the Matthews Farmers Market every Saturday morning,
Hey, we got to the jams.
and he makes jams. And I am serious. My wife will confirm. On many a Saturday, she has spent no less than $35 at the jam guy, obtaining
Jam
various
man.
jars of various assorted and sundry jams. We like some jam up in our house. So of my favorites, there's the black straw. That is a blackberry strawberry combo. There is a salted caramel apple butter that is just now technically that's not a
Valid, that sounds
jam,
good.
but I've got a peach one in there. It's called Charleston Sunrise. That's in there. I haven't gotten into that one yet. You need to expand your jam horizons.
Contact the jam man.
Have you considered the idea that Shelly married you to support her jam lifestyle?
I have not considered this.
I think we might
Are
need
you
to have a
now?
talk then.
I'm considering it.
Give us
I'm
some time to
rejecting it outright.
No, you don't think so?
Nope.
He's in denial. Isn't
No.
that the first stage?
That's the first stage of grief, yeah.
I don't think Shelly married me for my ability to support her. I was a music major.
And then became a music teacher. So
Exactly. Then I became, yes, I was a music major who ultimately was going to become a teacher. She didn't marry me for the lifestyle.
and
Okay.
now you make bank as a youth pastor, right?
Yeah,
So it's a
totally
long-term
upgraded.
investment
I
for
was
sure.
like, left education for ministry. Moving up in the world. Yeah. No, I left education because I just like talking to teenagers, not actually teaching them it. So, calling. That's what that is. It's a calling. Hey, I love all jams. See, look at there. There you go, Kay. Apricot jam, orange marmalade. You see, look. Don't blame the jam issue on me. She said, that ain't from me. Does he get that from his daddy? Is that what it is? Mike Parker back there talking about some NBA jam.
No,
Woo!
you're skipping over the
He's
important.
on
You're
fire!
skipping the biggest statement that he made, which is that jam serves no purpose. Which
Jam serves no purpose.
I don't really know what you mean. I don't know what you mean by that. What do you mean? Have you never had a biscuit with jam on it?
Oh my God.
So on the subject of jam,
He said biscuits serve no purpose.
Biscuits?
It took everything in me, all the willpower I could muster to not drop the mic right there.
What about peanut butter and jelly?
said, why would you eat that?
The super healthy keto
It's easy. And
Superman
it's cheap.
back
oh,
there.
that's right, Mr. CrossFit. I'm gonna be the first man on Mars.
don't do
Mike
CrossFit.
Parker.
He don't do
Said that, he
CrossFit.
told me that.
CrossFit's for the weak. He does jujitsu, bro.
Oh, excuse me.
He rolls on the mat.
Excuse me.
Not really, since I hurt my rib, he says. Since you guys can't hear. Like, you need a microphone back there, Mike.
Mike needs a mic. Hashtag get Mike a mic.
Hashtag get Mike a mic.
2020.
2020. 2013.
Get Mike a mic.
Look, nobody in the stream wants to hear
Mike
that.
and Ike.
Mike and Ike.
Oh, he's got one.
Hey,
Oh,
Mike and Ike.
the producer, the voice of God coming onto the stream. You can't see him, but he's really there.
On the subject of jam, though, my favorite sport movie is Space Jam, and that's the only sport movie that I've ever liked.
I believe I can
about Cool
fly.
Runnings? What about Megan?
I
What about
believe
Brad, please?
I can touch the sky.
What about Cool Runnings?
What's that?
It's the bobsledding movie.
Is the what?
They're from like Jamaica or
bobsledding
somewhere, and they all like
Oh my
bobsled, which is interesting because there's no snow in Jamaica, and you need snow and ice to bobsled. And he's like, when you bobsled, you don't break your bones; they shatter. And that's the only thing I remember from that movie. But I think about it every day.
I have a few
don't
mental
know
images
about
of
one.
that movie, but I
High
don't
School
remember much.
Musical's a good one. I forgot about that one.
Wait, I thought we were talking about jam movies.
We were talking about sports movies.
High School Musical is not a sports movie.
It has
That is
yes,
debatable.
it's halfway a sport movie and halfway a musical movie.
It's more like theater kid centric
Get
than
your
it is
head
a
in the
sports
game.
movie.
So
You
I'm
gotta
like-
get
I'm
your
more
head
on
in
Brad's
the
side,
game.
but I'm in between.
No, you're to my right.
Also, Twilight's a good sports movie. You remember that one scene where
Twilight
they play
is not as.
baseball?
Oh my gosh! Don't bring up
baseball
Twilight
scene.
on
They
my
play baseball.
It
stream.
was so cool. That's my
Vampires
favorite
don't
sport
sparkle.
movie.
We've been over
I mean,
this.
unless you count like hunting for
Oh,
sports, like I don't think the baseball scene defines
Help me.
defines the series.
You know nothing. You haven't seen the movies.
Okay, I've seen that scene. Anna Kendrick plays the vampire.
No,
Anna Kendrick plays the vampire.
no, she's the side character friend that no one really. She's just a filler.
Okay, can we go back to Jam? Can we go back to
Come
Jam?
on and slam.
This is what happens
to
when the
the
chat doesn't
jam.
ask good questions. We just go bebopping down the endless river of broken dreams.
Gonna be bop, bop, bop to
I
the top.
walk a lonely road, the only road that I.
I was setting you up for that one. The Boulevard of Broken Dreams, right there.
Uh-huh.
See, she got it. She
Sing
got
it.
it. That's what we should do. We should like play one of these like song association games or something.
Have you guys seen Rocket Man?
That I have ever rode. No. And I don't care to.
It's just like, you can't help it. It's just like automatic.
It's just in there. Perfect title.
It just goes.
I don't want to see that movie. I just think it's like a. They
Talk
looked at
about
Bohemian
prom.
Rhapsody. What?
It's-
Prom.
Grace
We're talking
McLean
about
in the
Rocket
chat,
Man.
ladies and gentlemen, said, "Talk about prom."
Yeah, me and Mikey are going to prom.
You're going to prom?
Yeah, separately.
Separate. What?
We'll talk about it later.
You heard it here first.
The first she's hearing about this. Kind of awkward.
Well, it can't be any worse than all four of mine. They were all bad.
I went shopping with you for your prom outfit.
I know.
For
it's
your
just-
prom
Your dress
You were
outfit.
just
so
there.
beautiful.
Wait a minute.
Look at my shoes.
I picked those out. I picked
I know.
those out.
That's why I had you there, so you could.
Okay, who forgot to lace them correctly?
No, I laced them like that on purpose. Because I have wide feet.
Okay, you forgot to lace them correctly.
No. I laced them incorrectly on purpose. There's no correct way to
You're
lace
you're
shoes.
wrong
There's
on
no
purpose.
Correct, there's no correct way to lace shoes,
Sit
ladies
down,
and gentlemen.
child,
Sit down.
with your incorrectly laced shoes.
I have wide
Look,
feet. It hurts to have.
I
them
laced mine
normally.
correctly.
Whoa. Do you even have shoes?
Yes.
Who do you think you are?
Sandal man.
Sandal man.
Sandal
The
mandel.
sandal man can, cause he fixes it with love
See-
and makes the world smell bad.
There's nothing wrong with my Birch.
The sandal man
Sing.
can.
Do you know
Enter
the
sandal
Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
Do I know the Muffin Man?
He lives on Drury Lane.
On what lane?
Drury. It's
Drury?
D-R-U-R-Y. Drury.
Is
Yeah,
it
I
really?
was hesitant on answering because I always forget the name.
I don't know
of
if
the-
it's dreary or jury.
It's both. It's Drury.
Drury, the rural
Drury.
juror.
I don't-
Which brings us on the subject of Shrek.
Yes, finally, the event, the moment you've all been waiting for.
I love Shrek.
You said
so
Shrek, and all I
much.
can think of is Eddie Murphy as the donkey. It's like my favorite part of Shrek.
That'll do, donkey.
Not gonna do
That'll
that
do.
impression. For our
Anyway.
walk-up music next week, can we make it all-star?
Yeah, no. I need a hero, but like the version that was on Shrek.
That's from Shrek 2, Megan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's still good.
It's not as important as Shrek 1. It's not as
Shrek 2 is just as good as Shrek 1.
No, you can vote in the chat. Shrek 2 definitely not as good.
It's not
Shrek
clearly
2 was
not
the
as
one where he
important.
turned into a human, right?
See, you don't even know.
don't even know.
It's not.
Shrek 1 is far more iconic than Shrek 2.
Yeah,
Literally, you were the only person on this side of the argument.
which is the
Grace?
left.
Which is
or
the left side,
Right side.
You
I don't,
liberal.
don't even. Let's not. Don't you say words like that.
I might
Yeah.
even prefer Shrek 2 to Shrek 1.
I'm sorry. And on that bombshell, we're going to call it a night. Next week, we'll be back with Mikey and somebody else. Love you guys.
Excuse me?
You're being
Good
voted
night.
off the island.
Oh, wait.